Okay, so looking at number 11 on page 57 in Module 1, it says Stephanie's group added 1/4 and 2/3 and got a sum of 11/12. Stephanie wondered how adding fourths and thirds could result in 12ths. Is the group correct? Explain to Stephanie the process used to find the sum. So we're wondering, is this correct or not? What do we do to find the sum? Remember, we need to scale up to find the least common denominator. And the least common denominator here for these two is the least common multiple of 4 and 3, which is 12. So I'm going to scale up the first fraction by multiplying by 3 and scale up the second fraction by multiplying by 4. Once I've done that, that gives me 3/12 for, instead of the 1/4, and then 2/3 ends up being 8/12. That's how you end up with 12 in the denominator. The denominator doesn't change, and you find the sum of the two numerators, which are 3 and 8. The sum of 3 and 8 is 11. So Stephanie's group is correct, and the reason the denominator is 12 is because the least common denominator for the 4 and the 3 is 12. Okay, now we're going to look at number 12 on page 58. So if you have not already done so, go ahead and turn the page to number 12. Emily walked 4 1/3 miles, and Katie walked 2 3/5 miles. 2 3/5. How many more miles did Emily walk than Katie? When you're asking how many more miles, we're looking for the difference between these two. And the difference means we need to subtract. So anytime we are subtracting two fractions, we need to once again find the least common denominator, which in this case, we are looking at the two denominators of 3 and 5. Their least common multiple is 15. So we are going to scale up the first fraction by multiplying by 5, because the 3 times 5 will give us 15. And we are going to scale up the second fraction by 3, because 5 times 3 will give us 15. So then once again, we have the 5 times 3 and the 3 times 5 giving us the least common denominator of 15. That's going to give us, didn't want that. Sorry, guys. That's going to give us 4 and 5/15, and then 2 9/15. Now, one of the things that we talked about is we could look at just the whole numbers subtracting. 4 take away 2 would work, but then we have to think about the fractions. 5/15 take away 9/15. You can't do that without getting a negative number. So here we're going to have to actually make these two fractions improper in order to do our subtraction. So I'm going to do 4 times 15, add it to the top. 4 times 15 is 60, plus 5 gives me 65/15. And then I'm going to do 2 times 15, and then add that sum to the 9, because there's 2 wholes that have 15 pieces each, which makes that 30. And then 30 plus the 9 makes 39/15. Now I can subtract the two numerators of 65 and 39. 65 take away 39 would be 26. So then I have 26/15. Because the numerator is greater than the denominator, this is an improper fraction. 15 goes into 26 one time with a remainder of 11. So my answer, remember this is the whole number, 1, and then my remainder of 11 is the numerator, and the denominator doesn't change. So Emily walked 11 and 11/15 miles more than Katie. Whoops, sorry. Okay, now we're going to look at number 13. Victor jogged 8 3/7 kilometers on Monday and 7 2/3 kilometers on Tuesday. What is the difference between these two distances? And again, difference, anytime you see that, it means to subtract. So we are going to subtract these two, and in order to do that, I need to once again find my least common denominator. For 7 and 3, your least common denominator is the smallest multiple of those two, which is 21. And so I am going to scale up. I'm going to multiply the first fraction by 3, because the 7 times 3 will give me 21. And then here I need to do 3 times 7 to get 21. So I'm going to scale up the first fraction, or the numerator as well. Now that gives me 8 and 9/21. Take away 7 and 14/21. Now once again, I'm going to take a look. Can I do this without making these improper fractions? 8 take away 7 would work, but 9/21 take away 14/21. 9 is less than 14, so I can't do it. So I need to make these improper. These are going to get big. Feel free to use a calculator if you need to. 8 times 21 is 168, plus 9 would be 177/21. And then 7 times 21 is 147 plus 14. 147 plus 14. Even Mrs. Robson needs the visual sometimes. Is 161/21. And now that I have a common denominator and I have numbers that I can subtract, I would do 177 take away 161. That gives me 16. So what is the difference between the two distances? It's 16 out of 21 kilometers, which is your answer.